everyone.
Hey there guys, Unofficial MCU here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we're going to be talking about Ant-Man 3 with MODOK into the regards of him. I haven't had a video yet here on the channel discussing this character, this overall villain here being introduced into the MCU here as well, taking a deeper dive and explaining everything that we have going on here and everything you guys can expect to see going forward with the actual movie itself here as well. We're going to go ahead, we're going to hop right on into it. In this video we're going to be taking a read from the Direct's article. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. As I read, Ant-Man 3, Corey Stoll's surprise return is explained here. That might sound like a familiar name because that is the same actor that plays the Wasp in the first Ant-Man film. So really just that alone being said, we're seeing the return of that character, the Wasp, being brought back here, revived essentially here in the MCU and being brought back for revenge, probably so here with Ant-Man 3. Now, as the Direct's article reads, the new Ant-Man in the Wasp Quantumania trailer has finally arrived, and it's brought fans more than a few things to obsess over, including the first look at the MCU's MODOK. The movie's second teaser showcased multiple reasons to be excited about the upcoming adventure, in case you aren't already. Jonathan Majors' Kang the Conqueror remains awesome. Catherine Newton looks great suiting up in her own suit, and there's even a direct nod to the upcoming Avengers, the Kang Dynasty. And even with all of this crazy action going on here in the trailer, there was also MODOK in the trailer as well, a villain many thought could never properly be adapted to live action on the screen, yet here he is. Interpreted to perfection while still maintaining the serious stakes of the situation. However, the most surprising part of the big MODOK reveal wasn't just his extremely comic accurate design, but rather something only eagle-eyed viewers may have really noticed. The villain's giant floating head is none other than Corey Stoll's Darren Cross. That was of course the Wasp that had been featured in Ant-Man 1, as I had mentioned. Yes, the very same one who supposedly died at the end of Scott's debut adventure. So what's that all about? Corey Stoll's first made his appearance in the MCU as Darren Cross, eventually becoming the Yellow Jacket in the original Ant-Man movie. And by the film's end, however, he's supposedly lethally shrunk down thanks to Scott Lang's risky maneuvers. Clearly, however, that wasn't the end of the villain's journey, like many assumed. So what exactly happened to him, and what's his role being played here in Quantumania? One thing that's important to remember is how time works differently in the quantum realm. The effects seem very sporadic as well. That is to say, the writers can basically manipulate it however they want. Has Cross been shrunk there for months, years, decades? It's impossible to really say. In fact, given the multiversal focus of these current MCU films with the multiversal saga, it's entirely possible that this Darren Cross is a variant and not the same one who Scott went up against in Ant-Man 1. One of the biggest questions, however, is what will he be doing in the film? Is he on Kang's side or against him? Perhaps this is one of those situations where Scott has to team up with an old villain against a common enemy. Some might be wondering if the source material potentially helps fans paint a better picture of what to expect. Simply put, the answer is a solid no, however. MODOK, of course, has been a character fans have been wanting to see in the MCU for a long time. However, despite visually being on the money when it comes to the accuracy, this version of the villain is not the same as the source material. In the comics, the floating antagonist is instead someone named George Tarleton. Darren Cross becoming MODOK instead is entirely unique and different for the MCU and with Marvel Studios, and there's no precedent for it, meaning there's no way to truly predict the overall character here for what we can expect to see. No doubt that there'll be some fans that are upset that Cross's character will be fused with Tarleton's, which is understandable, but the character is a hard one to pull off at the same time as well, and clearly this change has played a big part in Marvel feeling comfortable enough to bring such a ridiculous villain into life in live action. What's great about Stoll, however, returning for this Kang-centric movie is how there's actually a massive nod toward MODOK and his identity twist in the 5th episode of Loki. When Tom Hiddleston's God of Mischief is at the end of the time itself, a massive Yellow Jacket helmet can even be seen in the background, so it's a nice little callback and nod, something that comes full circle pretty much. Little did the fans know at the time that was something seemingly was a direct reference to the character's next appearance potentially. And while Cross's time as the villain is completely new, there are elements of the source material the movies could still play off of. The biggest of them being this involvement with the advanced idea of mechanics, also known as AIM. The mysterious science organization was technically introduced in Iron Man 3, but AIM never really became the evil group that they are in the comics. Over a decade of in-universe time has passed since they were last seen, so there's plenty of space for the writers to take them in whatever direction they really want and choose so. In the comics, MODOK is often associated with AIM, and also being associated with Intelligentsia for those She-Hulk fans as well, usually finding himself in a leadership position within its ranks. This is even incorporated into the story of the recent Avengers video game. While it's highly unlikely they're involved in anything happening in the quantum realm, if the villain does happen to make it out of Quantumania alive and into Earth 616, his arrival could lead to the revamp of AIM. Maybe those yellow beekeeper outfits can finally be seen on screen. Just knowing that MODOK is getting into live action is something nearly all comic book fans would have never actually believed, even a decade ago. Yet, here the world is, with a massive movie starring Antman and his family going up against one of the most dangerous Marvel villains to ever exist, while also having to deal with the return of the hero's first proper big bad. Needless to say, Antman and the Wasp Quantumania is going to be quite the trip. With Kang taking most of the spotlight for the film's overall marketing, it's hard to grasp just how much of a presence MODOK will really have. It is probably safe to say that it's unlikely he'll be able to overpower Kang in his regard, but there's no way Marvel brought back Corey Stoll for the role only for a few select scenes and then to kind of get rid of him. Fingers crossed that the mental organism designed only for killing, also known as, well, MODOK, is being set up for a long journey in the MCU over the next few years, being kind of like a big bad, kind of similar to what Loki is, provided he doesn't get wiped off the map in Scott Lang's conflict with Kang. And from there, that is where the article concludes, and as I had mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have this article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well. Of course, as we also all do know, Quantumania is coming out February 17th of this year here as well, so definitely looking forward to that as the next MCU big project. Having this character in the MCU in live action for another thing, I think, as well, which is pretty underrated. They could have introduced this character first in animation with What If Season 2, but yet they went full-blown and straight full steam on in with having him in live action is something honestly really cool to see here, and it was pulled off really well here as well, as this article really praises here. Of course, he has a really goofy looking comic look, and they didn't really do that here in the MCU here and in live action. In the comics, as we all know, he's literally just a floating head. It looks like a big baby, and well, in this, he looks, I guess, menacing to an extent here, especially when he has his helmet down there as well, which really does remind me a little bit of Iron Man. But even then, with the helmet up, he still looks really quite alright. Anyway, I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comment section down below. What are you looking forward to seeing most with having MODOK being introduced into the MCU? What kind of role do you want him to overall have here in Ant-Man 3 Quantumania? I would love to hear what you guys all think in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Of course, this has been Unofficial MCU. Of course, have a great one, guys. Peace out.